Thanks for tuning in to the Charles Novell School of Music podcast, The Best Day Yet. Here you'll find tips, insight, and information to help your music and your ministry succeed. Whether you're a singer, a musician, or a songwriter, we want to help you where you are, but we also want to help you get to where you want to go. We believe that our talents are God's gift to us, but what we do with those are our gift back to God. Yesterday's information is important, but what we can learn today will make this the best day yet.
Hi, this is Jonathan Wilburn inviting you to the Charles Novell School of Music, July the 14th through the 20th at Murray State University in Murray, Kentucky. You don't want to miss this opportunity to enhance your craft and to sing the praises of Jesus Christ. You will enjoy this, so log on to cnsmusic.com and get more information about how you can get registered today.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Charles Novell School of Music podcast, The Best Day Yet. Super excited about today's podcast because I am looking at a screen full of people. Now, you don't see them, and that's probably a good thing with a couple of these faces I'm looking at, because we do Zoom, but then I pull the audio in for the editing purposes. But I have 5 of our Charles Novell School of Music students with us today, and I'm super excited. I'm going to, I'll tell you who's here. We have Hannah Roberts is with us, and then we have Neil Pope, we have Dave Burdick, we have Jim Visser, and we have Lindsey Freeman with us. We have 5 different students from 5 different areas. So let's start there, guys. Hannah, tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and you know what? Let's do it this way. Who you are, where you're from, and tell us about your first year, your first year experience being a student at CNS.
So I'm Hannah, and I'm from Ohio. And my first year experience at CNS, what I remember was Kermit was there at the time, and Dave was there. And Kermit was acting extremely like Kermit. And I have never met Kermit, so I didn't know what to expect. And Dave was would talk to me about it. And I remember bonding with Dave and then sitting with Dave on the front row most of the week so I could film Katie or whoever I wanted. And I remember one night, because I was not a student, my first year I just went as a guest. Okay. I remember one night I was singing along and Dave would lean over. There was a chair between us, and he was trying to listen to me, and I would purposely lean further away every time he would get closer. But I remember him writing me a little note about maybe next year we'll get to hear you sing. And because that was a year when we were doing the notes for people. And okay. I just remember ever since that first year, I've probably felt close to Dave, that he's been a good, very nice, he's a great singer, very nice person to get to hang out with and spend time with. And they become family. And so many people at the school just become members of your family. And you never want to miss a year of school because you never want to miss that week with your family.
So what I'm hearing is relationship. We are a school of music, so I'm really glad your first experience was making new friends. But
well, I wasn't a student. I mean,
oh no, you're right. And here's the thing. That's a great answer, because we'll talk a little bit about this, maybe just organically as we continue through this. But that's something we strive to do, is build a culture of family. And, we don't just say that, we mean that. And, the cool thing is we get to see each other in various ways in different places throughout the course of the year as we're waiting on July to roll around each year. And so awesome. Okay. Neil, we're coming to you. So who are you? Where are you from? And tell us about your first year CNS experience.
Well, I'm Neil Pope, and I'm from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And I've heard about the school for a long time, being involved in gospel music, but I heard the most about it and the most recent before starting to come in 2020 from my sister-in-law, Tara Jackson, who is one of your instructors.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for us about that one. I'm sorry for you about the in-law part.
But despite her being one of your instructors, I decided to give it a try anyway.
Gotcha.
And my first year was the year that you did it virtually in 2020, and I was really surprised at how that went, because I thought, well, how are we going to do a school of music virtually? But
right.
The lessons and the way we did the student songs and stuff like that by submitting video and all that was really neat. And like Hannah said, even though it was virtually, those relationships were still built, and you still wanted to come the next year and the next year and the next year to see your extended family that you only get to see once a year. So,
right. The crazy thing about 20 is you didn't know how it was going to go. Whew. You should have seen me hanging on to whatever was stationary as we launched that bad boy. We literally built that in 10 days.
Wow.
We got all the way up to 10 days before CNS 20. And I had found a new location. Murray State canceled us, which we've been going to for decades, 50 years. And they canceled all summer activities because of COVID. And Dad passed away January 17th of 2020. Murray canceled us on March 27th. And man, I didn't have a green light with it being the first year with Dad's homegoing. I wasn't comfortable canceling the school that year. And we had to honor Dad. We had to find a way. So we found a location, we moved forward. But 10 days prior, I lost 3 staff members and 33 students within 36 hours, all COVID related.
Wow.
All COVID related. Some had it. Dave, I remember your situation. You're like, Rob, I want to come, but they've issued travel restraints with Georgia and New York. If I come, then I got to come home and quarantine for 2 weeks. And I don't have 3 weeks to take off. So there were all various reasons, but it was all COVID related. And Corey and I had started talking in April about an online school. Corey's our administrator. For those that don't know Corey that may be listening, we had been talking it. So we had a rough sketch, but we frantically, and kudos to our staff. And I reached out to our staff. I said, you guys know what you're teaching this year. So I need you to convert it into, I need videos. I need you to get busy and make me some videos. And so during that 10 days, the videos were coming in every single day. And we started uploading them and kind of building that platform. But kind of the cool thing with that too is this, and listen, you all, and Jim, I may address this with you in a minute.
Sure.
There's nothing competitive about the Charles Novell School of Music and any other school of music, period. It's never been that way. It'll never be that way. I'll make sure of that. On my watch, it will never be that way. And it wasn't that way on my dad's. In fact, I taught at Stamps Baxter's for 2 years. As soon as our school ended, I went and taught for Ben Spear at Stamps Baxter. We were 2 weeks at that time. We did our 2 weeks, and then I went and did 2 more weeks with Stamps Baxter. So, but getting back to 20, we were the only school that had a school in 20. We found a way. Everybody else canceled, and that's okay. Everybody needed to do what everybody needed to do. That's what the year 2020 was for everybody. But we found a way. We went on, and like Neil, we got to meet new and make new relationships. It was really cool how that week had a feel of CNS, even though we were all logging onto computers, and phones. So excellent. Okay, let's go to Jim. Let's come on to you. Jim, tell us who you are, where you're from, and what your first year experience was like at CNS.
Okay, my name is Jim Visser, and I live in Lowell, Michigan, which is about 40 miles east of downtown Grand Rapids, Michigan. So most people know what Grand Rapids is. My first year experience, it was really pretty good. If you know me at first, I would honestly say I'm a little bit on the, especially in new areas, I'm a little withdrawn or shy. So I didn't know anybody, or at least I didn't think I was going to know anybody. And I knew Tori a little bit, Tori Gay. So I kind of hung around with her, sat at concerts with her and stuff like that. Then, of course, your favorite person, now I forgot her name, Marianne. I knew Marianne, and I've known Marianne for probably 8 years.
Okay.
But no, my first year experience really was pretty good because as I kind of have to warm up a little bit. And once I began to warm up to more and more people, and I had a very outgoing roommate in Tracy Rhodes. And so, we'd have lunch together and stuff like that. And he'd sit by other people, and we just kind of began to talk with other people and stuff like that. And toward the end, I'll be honest, I was a little disappointed because toward the end of the week, I really didn't get to know Dave until like the last 2 days. And I was like, oh man, Dave and I are just like hitting it right off. And then the week was over. So Dave, just FYI to you, I'll be hopefully chumming around with you a little bit more. And
go ahead.
But, with the classes and stuff that I took, I had a little I don't want to say mishap, but I was supposed to have Jonathan as one of my coaches, and he had a family emergency at the last minute, and he had to leave. Well, the staff just worked hard to get me into with somebody else, so another person would work with me, and it was great because I ended up getting Tim, and I had Tim for I think 2 or 3 sections. I think must have been 2 because I had Paul. And then Paul actually did an extra one with me too. So it was really great. That worked out really good. So it was a good time for me. It was a time of really getting familiar with different people and the process and stuff like that. But it was very easy. And one of the big things I really enjoyed was having a morning chapel every morning.
Yeah.
I know it's an option if you want to go or not. Not everybody goes, but I really enjoyed having the chapel every morning because when I go for not. Yes, it's a music school, but I also go for the spirituality of the week. And right. For me, it's a time to be away from work, away from my hustle and bustle of life. And I get there and I just block everything out and I focus on God and my music.
Right. The hardest part for me running the school, as crazy as this is going to sound, when I talk to a prospective student in person or on the phone, the hardest thing in the world for me to do is describe CNS.
Yeah.
Because it's like an onion. There's so many layers. You just keep peeling back and peeling back. There's the music side of it. There's the relation side of it. There's the spiritual aspect. It's almost like revival or camp meeting for the week.
Yeah, exactly.
On the spiritual side of things. And I tell everybody it's truly one of those things you just have to experience.
Yeah.
Man, I appreciate you saying that. So I had been trying for years to get you to come to the school. I've talked to you numerous times at Quartet Convention and different places. And so I'm a very observant person by nature. And that week, I'm every year at the school, I'm watching, but there's a few people that I'm specifically watching. Because I want their experience to, with you being a first-time student last year, I kind of watched and I saw each day you just kind of warming up and getting your feet wet at the beginning and kind of tiptoeing into the shallow end, but by the end of the week I saw you swimming in the deep end. I saw you down there. So awesome. Okay, Lindsey, we're coming to you. Who are you? Where are you from? And tell us about your first year experience at CNS. But before you do, I want to share some exciting news on Miss Lindsey Freeman. She has a brand new album, her first recording project, fixing to be
Oh, no.
released on Friday night, March the 29th. And super excited for her about this and about that night. So, Lindsey, proud of you, excited for you. It's this exciting times. So, all right, now, who are you? Since I just told them you have a new album coming out, they need to know who you are so they can find your album. Who are you? Where are you from? And tell us about your first year experience.
So I'm Lindsey Freeman, and I live in Morganton, North Carolina. And my first year experience with CNS, going into it, I was very nervous. I'm a very timid person when it comes to talking to other people. But previously, I had met PJ Anderson, another student at the school, and she told me about it, and she very highly encouraged me to go to this school and check it out and just give it a shot. And so I did, and there's not one regret in that. I had an incredible time. The environment there is amazing. It's like one big family, and everybody is your biggest cheerleader there, and they want nothing more than to see you succeed. And so my experience was very well for CNS, and I can't wait to go back.
Awesome. Well, we're excited that you're coming back. Piggybacking on something for clarification that you talked about there, and going back to Neil too. Neil, I think you said are the student songs. We have a class called performance training, and that's where the students get up and perform in front of the staff and different guests that we have in for each day as well, and then we critique your performance. And I say this every year, but it is so true. I go out and I do services and concerts throughout the course of the year, but the hardest place in the world to get up and do what we do is at CNS. Yeah. Because of what? We know we're being critiqued, you as students by us staff, and then us staff by you students, because it's your chance to go touche, right? But what Lindsey said, someone's asked, is it competitive? I'm like, are you kidding me? Man, when you get up in performance training to sing, you are singing in front of a room of cheerleaders. People that class, unique things have happened. We've had people forget words, and the crowd students start feeding words to them. We've had people do something a little emotional and break down, and we've stopped and literally allowed the Holy Spirit to do what he needed to do right there in the middle of a class. So she's right. We just cheer each other on. All right, Dave, we are up to you. So who are you? Where are you from? And if you can remember that far back, what was your first CNS experience like?
Well, I'm Dave Burdick, and I'm from Corning, New York. If you go to your cupboard and you look on the bottom of any dish you have in there, it probably says Corning on it. That's the where it was originally started. It was Corning, New York. So wow. It's pretty cool. I live on Pyrex Street, actually, which is kind of cool.
Pyrex and Corning.
Yeah. Awesome. So I actually, you mentioned other singing schools. I actually went to the Steve Hurst School for 2 years. Phenomenal experience. Steve is he's a magician. And I somehow got on a Southern Gospel chat group after I'd gone to Steve Hurst School for the second year. And I was planning on going back to his school. And there was a girl on the chat group. Her name is Tina Reynolds. She used to sing with Les and Joyce Gandy. Right. And she says, hey, I went to a really cool school in Kentucky, and you ought to try this one for a change, just something different. I wasn't looking for anything different, but so I said, that sounds great. And I signed up, walked into the door terrified. Even though I was in my mid 40s, I'd been singing all my life. I was like, what is this going to be like? I wasn't exactly looking for a quartet job and going on the road, and I already had a career and everything. But after I met your parents, it was like, wow, this is where I need to be. Your dad greeted me. He was always at the table. Every Sunday when we showed up, he'd be sitting by the table, and he welcomed me, and your mother, and I just felt like this is where I belonged. And that Monday, your father had known me for not even 24 hours, and he said, hey, would you mind emceeing the concert tonight? And thought, well, I wonder why he would ask me to do that. I used to, I sang with a quartet and used to MC for the group and everything, but how did he see that in me or anything? And So it was really cool for me. It was just a great experience. And, I've made the best friends I have in my life right now are people from this school. And when people say, well, you only see them once a year, I mean, my Facebook page is only people from this school. Because of my occupation, I'm in law enforcement. I don't have a Facebook page that's out there public. So It's only so I can keep in touch with people from the school. And, I always tell people, I only see them once a week, 1 week a year, but it's not the quantity of time that we spend together. It's the quality of time we spend together. I pack it right in and try to be around people as much as I can. And like I say, I've made some great friends at the school that, you get closer and closer to Murray on the highway and you start thinking, oh, I hope so-and-so's there. And I hope so-and-so's there. And just that anticipation, excitement of knowing who's going to be there each year.
Did I ever tell you why Dad asked you to MC? Because no. I you do every year. I come to you. I'm like, Dave. The story that Dad told me was, and my dad didn't lie, so this is the truth. He knew you were law enforcement, and he figured if you were helping us MC, if someone tried to stay up there too long, you would shoot them or arrest them. So that's why we had you. Okay, awesome. So Hannah, we're coming back to you with question number 2. I would like to ask you, Alex, for $200, the following question. What have you learned at CNS that has helped your music and or your ministry?
Well, so before I started going to CNS, I mean, I already knew how to sing. It wasn't as, not to like brag or anything, but it wasn't as good as I can sing now, but I really couldn't play even a whole song on the piano. I couldn't play hardly anything on the guitar, like a few chords, but I couldn't play a song. And so since just the past couple years at CNS, I have learned through the lessons that we do year round and then my lessons at the school. I learned a lot in my lessons last year with Billy Blackwood on the guitar. I don't know how, because we only had like 3 lessons, but I can play songs on the guitar. I'm learning songs on the piano. Like, it's incredible how quickly at my age that I can pick stuff up that, I mean, if I was 15, it wouldn't be surprising, but to be older and as busy as I am, to be able to learn that has just really helped. And then just even the stage presence and stuff, they teach you how to try to do the very best you can on stage, to not distract from the message of the song and to be able to connect with people so that you can give the message of the song to the audience that may need it desperately.
That's good. Our kind of one of our company lines, we believe what we do, we should do with excellence, because we're giving it directly back to God. God gives us our talents and our gifts, and it's on the intro to the podcast every week. I believe our talents are God's gift to us, but what we do with them, that's our gift back to him. And we believe effective ministries are polished ministries. So that's why we do what we do. Neil, same question for you. How has CNS helped you with your music and your ministry?
Similar to what she said about the techniques and the tools that learned from my vocal coach and the stage presence and things like that. Before I started, I really didn't know like where to go on stage or what to do with my arms or things like that. You kind of get in those awkward situations and things like that. And Tim really helped me, kind of like, one of the techniques he said was, you pick a person on this side and pick a person on that side. And then, you sing your verse toward that person. And then the second verse, go to this side, and things like that. And so, that was one big thing. Then, again, back to the relationships, building the relationships, and, we all just kind of support each other, and you build those relationships, and it kind of expands your ministry, because you might have this person come work with you on something that you're doing, and then they have you come work with them on something that they're doing. And so just, building those relationships and networking.
Networking. I was getting ready to say that exact word. You're exactly right. Jim,
Yes.
how's it, you've been 1 year. How's it already affected your music and your ministry?
I would say a lot of how I am presenting myself, presenting my song, how am I delivering it, which I always felt was a very important thing, and it's something that I have been constantly working on. Going, okay, because not all songs are easy to interpret or easy to
Right.
understand. So my key is always I want to make sure that I'm a good communicator with people from the stage. But that being said, something else that I learned too is it's I always heard this as a kid too. If you're nervous, which I don't really get nervous in front of crowds at this point anymore, but if you're nervous, always look at the tops of their heads or something like this. Or the one that I've been told to now is find somebody in the audience that's smiling. And I know that's kind of a sad thing to say or hear, because so often we sing places and people aren't smiling, but there's always seems to be that one person or maybe two persons out there that I don't care what you sing, they've got this just wonderful smile on their face, and they're so focused on what message you're bringing. Because as an artist, standing up there, sometimes you can really feel like you're all alone,
right?
And if you cannot with your crowd, it's a tough concert to sing. And I'll be honest, I've been there before, right, where I just could not connect with anybody. And the school has already taught me to different tools that I can take to connect with other people, not just on stage, but off stage.
Right.
I remember class I took, I think Pastor John Groves did this, it was about representing yourself from the minute you walk out the door to the minute you leave that door, and you're not ministering just when you're up front. You're ministering from the minute you step foot in that door
or pull on the parking lot.
Exactly. It's a connection that you have to always make.
Right.
And I'll be honest, and I think we've all experienced that sometimes that connection is hard to make.
Right.
And I enjoy singing in smaller venues that might be 150 or less. Right. And I think maybe that's why I like to, is because I feel like I can connect with a smaller crowd. If I'm singing in front of 500 people, most of the time they walk right by me. They never, don't acknowledge you've been there,
right,
even though they heard.
Right.
And with a small crowd, it's just more. It's more family felt. It's people want to talk to you afterward. But I think the other thing that I found too with at the school, with having gone to Steve Hurst myself, and I went there for I think 4 different times, but not that I get starstruck, because at this age, the only person who's going to starstruck me is when Jesus comes.
Right.
To be honest.
Gotcha.
So, but still seeing your peers and being able to talk to them and meet them. I mean, Michael Booth was one that I never met him. I always liked the Booth brothers. There's certain songs I really like that I know many others like. And I had an opportunity just to sit down on a couple different occasions just to talk with Michael. It was really nice, because I think sometimes we automatically put the national artists up on this plateau,
right?
Like they're so much better than we are, and they're not. They're just the same as we are. They're going through the same struggles in life that we are. It's us that put them on that pedestal that that they're different than we are, and they're really not any different. And I really learned that with him and Billy and just getting to know these guys on a different level.
Right.
To me, that's encouraging.
Well, you said it there. You can go see artists in concert, and you're sitting there and you see them on stage, 20, 30, 40 feet in front of you, and you're like, wow, they're accessible.
Yeah.
But they may not be available while you're there.
No.
And at CNS, our staff, our guests that we bring in, guests like you mentioned Jonathan Wilburn, you mentioned Michael Booth, Danny The day that Danny was with us last year as an SGMA member, we were voting that week on the final four. And
sure.
I knew that day that Danny was going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Right. It was the hardest thing in the world for me to keep that secret.
Keeping your mouth.
It was tough, but guys of that caliber, Hall of Fame inductees are there, and Danny will be back, and he's going to be there more than just a day this year. And Jonathan's going to be with us Monday through Wednesday. Different people are not only wanting to be with us, but wanting to come back, but wanting to stay longer on their, and they're accessible and available to you while you're there. Lindsey, same question for you. What have you learned that's helped you with your music and ministry?
So I would say the biggest thing that's helped me would definitely be stage presence and performance and interacting with their audience and everything. I took a private lesson with Paul, and he taught me a lot about where to go on the stage, when to move, because if you're moving too much, it can just look like you're trying to find out where to go, and then you're lost and the audience is lost. So figuring out a lot about that really helped me, because I really didn't know what to do when you're on the stage. Where do I go? So that definitely helped me a lot. And another thing that really helped me was breath control. I know Becky's class really helped me in that. And so, yeah, that would be my two biggest takeaways from CNS.
Awesome. So curriculum, and I'm hearing a resounding thing there. And so Corey and I are already working on the schedule. This is something we just don't throw together at the end. We put a lot of thought, prayer, and even fasting at times, you all. I'll look all holier than thou. But in all seriousness, man, God's called me to do, this is ministry for me. And if I don't dot my I's and cross my T's, he can place someone else that's going to be open. We kept quoting Isaiah 119 during CNS 23. If we're willing and obedient, we got to be willing to hear him talk to us, and we got to be obedient to walk that out. So we keep implementing new things every year. Hannah referred to the guitar. We have a beginning guitar class. Students show up, don't even know how to play, and by the end of the week, they're playing several songs in several keys. It's just crazy. We started a beginning piano class at CNS 23. We're going to have both those classes, but we're going to probably have a second level available, more of an intermediate type of class to advanced class. So, curriculum is just vitally important in what we do. Dave, same question.
Well, in addition to all the mechanical stuff, the breathing and, the vowels and things like that, how to pronounce the words correctly and all that. I think, I could sit through 8 hours of performance training every day for the 5 days, because I get so much, not when I'm up there necessarily performing, because I'm blacked out and focusing on my song and everything. Right. But when other people do, and what the critiquers say, and the heart that they have when they say it. I think of Jeff Stice crying every time he got up. I just love you, and I don't care what you sound like, and say, but his heart was in the right place. But it's just that's so great. But I mean, I've worked with Bill Bays, I've worked with Bill Dykes, I worked with Michael Booth, Billy Blackwood. I mean, that's phenomenal to have 2.5 hours of lessons a week with them, and then private lessons if you want to extend those. That's always been great. But your father always used to say on Sunday evening, when he got up in front of the crowd before he let the Rob show take over, he always used to say, I want you to write down on a piece of paper what your goals are for this week. And every year I wrote down the same thing. I want to learn how not to be a distraction away from God's word and the songs that I'm singing. And that's really, and I've learned that from so many different people, and things that I did on stage that may have just distracted people from the actual message of the song.
That's so important. That's the neatest thing about performance training is two things I want to talk about with that. Basically we could call it distraction removal. You know, we're trying to do things and within the critiquing and helping students with their performance so they can once again get up and be as effective as they can be. I dare somebody to show up at CNS and get ready to sing and say, y'all, I've been fighting the crud and y'all don't listen to how I sing, just listen to the words of this here song. You know, I mean, when I hear that, y'all, I've got my camera ready because I'm getting ready to get a viral video. You know, don't make excuses. We already talked. You're standing up in front of the one who gave you your gifts. Don't apologize for the gifts he gave you. But the second thing, and I just recently shared a post on Facebook this past week. I had a really unique moment. I can't be at Murray State University, having gone there for 50 years. I can't be there every summer and not see a building, a sign, even the MSU logo, and it not take my mind back to a memory from a previous school. And on Wednesday, I left the dorms, you all, and was driving over to the Fine Arts Building. And I was looking to the left to see if it was clear for me to make my right-hand turn. And as I looked to the left, I saw, and listen, it's not even there anymore. But there used to be in the hillside there, they had steps, and there was a baseball field there, and it was like bleachers built into the hillside. And we took a group picture there one year. And when I saw that spot, my mind went back to that memory and what God did. And in like 15, 20 seconds, I saw probably 100 different staff members that Dad had surrounding him over the years. And God showed me three things as to why my dad had those people and challenged me to kind of set the same bar moving forward. Number one, their spiritual walk would edify our students and would help build our students up. Their spiritual walk is why they can tactfully but efficiently critique your performance. You're not leaving there in tears. You're going to leave there with a clear understanding of what needs to be said. Or if they don't want to say something to you publicly, they may see you in the hallway and say, hey, I didn't want to share this, but they're going to be obedient to what the Holy Spirit tells them to do. The second thing he showed me with those staff members, they were qualified to teach music. We're a school of music. It's kind of important, you know. Third thing, they were people my dad could trust to be in a room when he couldn't be in the room and not say or do something that would affect the reputation of CNS. So, man, to hear you say that, Dave, it just reinforces that Wednesday morning and that little interaction with God, because, man, our staff and then our guests as well are just some amazing people. Okay, we are entering lightning round. We just quick responses for this next question. Hannah, what is your favorite part? You may have already answered this. What's your favorite part of the CNS experience? So hang on, before you answer me, we've talked relationships, we've talked music, we've talked the spiritual aspect of the school, we've talked curriculum. So what is your favorite part of a CNS experience?
The people. That's
Good.
My favorite.
Good. Neil.
I would agree with the people, and then also the performances. I enjoy hearing all the performances.
Okay. Jim.
I would say the people, but mostly at lunchtime. I mean, to be honest, that's when we get to really sit down at a meal and we just talk about whatever, whether it be classes or whatever. But it's at the meal times, I think that's the greatest time because we can just sit there and relax and chat. Very cool.
Lindsey.
I would say my favorite thing was my guitar class with Jim Coyles.
Awesome. Very cool. Dave.
Billy Blackwood's favorite word, connecting.
Okay.
Billy Blackwood's favorite word, connecting.
Gotcha.
People.
Gotcha. And you know, that word applies in all those areas that I mentioned before I let Hannah answer. We got to connect. Song selection. If you don't connect with the song, you shouldn't be picking it to sing it. Jim referred to it. If you can't connect to the audience, you're just standing in front of people singing.
Yep.
if you can't network, as Neil said, again, you're just, and I say this every year on Sunday night, and this goes to Lindsey's point. I tell our students every year at orientation, the effectiveness of our staff is directly proportionate to the openness of our students. So, Lindsey, if you didn't go into that guitar class with the mindset of, I want to learn how to play guitar, you're not going to learn how to play guitar. You got to connect sometimes with your own inner feelings. So that word connect applies there as well. Okay. Next lightning round question. Why have you come multiple years, or why are you coming to CNS 20? Why are you coming to CNS 24? Hannah.
I don't want to say the same thing, but because it's like my family. I mean, I don't want to miss that week with my family. It's like CNS and vacation are two of the most important things I do, and they're things I do with family.
That's awesome. I love it. Neil.
The people and to grow.
Okay.
I feel like I grow somehow, either in the ministry or musically or whatever, every year. So that, and then those relationships.
And what Neil's saying, like you want to do better and better. And so every year you go, I think it improves you in ways you probably don't even notice.
You're right. The doorway between our kitchen and our dining room is marked with where we mark the height of our kids at various, the height and the date. Even dogs we've had, you all, from the first time they're marked on that same doorpost, and they're measuring sticks. And there's days that it's right where, we've got the water on the front of the fridge. And usually when I'm filling a glass of water, I'm looking at those marks. And, when you do come year after year, it's the analogy is the same. You can see something that happened on a given year. Man, I could, we don't have time for this, but I could take you to 1986 and tell you how my music grew. I can take you to 1982 when I first met Jeff Stice, and as a 12-year-old got to take piano lessons from him. I can take you to, events that happened last year. It's just, that's huge in it. So, Neil, Jim.
I would say for me, it's like a big retreat. It's a break in my year. And be honest, I wish I could go. I wish I had another week throughout the year that I could do this with, because, when you're solo, and I've sang it several quartets, but when you're solo, you're by yourself. You're solo.
Right.
You have no interaction, no feeding one another, and you're by yourself. So when I go, to me, it's a big retreat. It's a time for really recollecting and just getting myself refocused.
That's awesome. Lindsey, why are you coming back for your second year?
So I'm coming back for my second year because there's always room for improvement and there's always room to grow. And as music ministry continues to grow in itself, there's always going to be something new to learn. And so I want to continue to grow. So that's why I'm coming back.
Yeah, the perfect answer, Lindsey. I think it's important that we adapt and change. It's a word Rob's not good with. 2020, I had to come face to face with that monster. And what God showed me in 2020 was growth is inevitable, or change is inevitable, but growth is optional. And just in the last 4 years from Neil, when we launched that first online school, we have implemented a lot of new things that we hadn't historically done over the years with the school. And I think it's because we need, with what Lindsey's saying, we need to be open and flexible to adjust and change and advance, so our ministry stay relevant, but once again, so our ministry stay effective. So it could be on a given year, a student comes in and hear something maybe they've heard before, but because of the guest that's there that day, that year, it clicks. It makes sense. Dave.
It's family reunion.
Yeah.
And you think when you go to a family reunion, you like to see how all the kids have grown, and how, I guess this is how God's children have grown in their ministries. I mean, the Pagets are singing at NQC.
Right.
The things that I've seen, Hannah's playing guitar and piano and singing all at the same time, which I can't figure out. Just things like that. It's amazing. I think of the Yoders and how the young Yoders have grown into such beautiful singers, and how nervous they were the first time they ever went to the school. And it's just awesome to see how everyone's grown, and their ministries are growing. And everybody is such a cheerleader at the school for anything that, there's no jealousy or competition. Like you said, we encourage each other and we celebrate each other's victories.
You mentioned the Pageants. Brandon is a great name to talk about here as we get ready to wrap up.
My first year is when they came.
We literally watched and saw Brandon sing all 4 parts as he grew up, and he settled in once his voice settled in to be a bass singer. And I would never embarrass anybody, but I've talked about this publicly because of his growth and development. When Brandon first showed up, you all was monotone. Couldn't hear pitch changes. He sang one note the entire song. And we encouraged him and we built him up, and different people spoke into his life. And now that the kids auditioned for the Kingsmen, he put a call into Kingdom Air. I mean, things are happening. It's exciting. So I'm with you, Dave. And that's where, again, I mentioned earlier, I'm observant, and I see year after year when students return, it's so neat to see them literally pick up where they left off, or to see that growth from year to year. And I've never seen anybody go backwards. Never, ever. Okay. So the final lightning round question we've already talked a lot about. It was, the family aspect to CNS. And, a couple neat things again over the last 4 years have happened. When students register, we add them to a private Facebook page, and there's networking, there is communication, there is fellowship happening, encouragement before we even get to the school. Allison Spear, first year with us, was last year on our staff. She pulled me aside Sunday night after registration and orientation. She's like, how do you do this? I'm like, do what? She's like, there's 100+ people here, and everybody acts like they know each other, and we just got here. And I said, well, and I explained the private Facebook page to her, and I didn't add her. I didn't want to scare her off. I didn't, I kind of baby stepped her in and held her hand a little bit. And by Wednesday, she came to me and said, Rob, can I talk to you? And I'm like, oh no. And she's like, please tell me I'm coming back next year. I'm like, well, if you want to, absolutely. So, but it's such a vital part of who we are and what we do. And so on this side of my dad no longer sitting in this chair and me having to fill some big shoes, you all. One of the things I'm most proud about what has transpired over the last, say, 4 years is if he saw us doing this right now, it would blow his mind. We have a virtual Christmas party. We've had 4 years in a row. We get together as CNS family and have a online Christmas party. We see each other at convention. We had about 20 students and 12 staff members at NQC 23. Just amazing where we get together in fellowship. And I'll be honest, you all, some of my closest friends like Dave are obviously the school, but it's in the Southern gospel industry. And last year, all I wanted to do was go out to eat with my staff. I didn't try to get with this person, because that's how special that this group in this unit is. Last thing I want to say, and this is perfect timing because this releases on Tuesday. Friday night of this week, we are having a Zoom informational meeting for people that may have heard of the CNS, the Charles Novell School of Music. Maybe they don't know what we exactly are or how we do what we do. Maybe they've got an interest in a summer school but don't know how they work. We're going to be having an information meeting. And you all, if you listen to this and you want more information on that, all you simply need to do is email us at that's the web address. Email at info@cnsmusic.com. Let me know you would like a link to that meeting on Friday night. And a little later this week, I'll be sending those out, and we can get more information on the Charles Novell School of Music in your hands. Guys, thank you for your time. I really, really appreciate you doing this and taking time out of your day to log in here and talk to us a little bit. I have to mention this before we go, and nobody mentioned this. Lindsey passed the first test, but y'all failed on this one. I didn't even hear anything about. Here's the thing. I try to keep the attitude and the atmosphere fun and lighthearted. And maybe since no one mentioned it, maybe it's not fun. Maybe I just think I'm funny. I don't know. But I'm looking over Hannah's shoulders. What do we see back there, guys?
Bananas.
There are some top bananas on that book.
Mine are over there.
Okay. Dave's are behind him. Mine's up here on the console in the studio. We have serious awards that we give out at the end of the week, but we also have a thing called the Top Banana Awards. And you all, there are Grammys, there are Emmys, there are Doves, there are Oscars, but they don't hold weight compared to the Top Banana Award.
But seriously, the bananas are like my favorite awards that I've ever gotten, probably.
There you go.
I think they're so fun.
See, there you go. We do also like to have fun, and I've got a staff that loves and can play along with that. And there's times and places, you all, please understand. But our current staff, cue Kenny Rogers, they know when to hold them and when to fold them. But we like to have fun and keep the atmosphere lighthearted. And, all right. Anybody got any parting thoughts that they want to share before we wrap this thing up?
Okay. Forward to July.
Absolutely. Well, anxious. It gets closer every day. I'm going to tease you all and everyone listening. Guys, I am shortly going to be making some announcements on some guests and some concerts that you all, God's blowing my mind with the people that want to be involved with CNS. And I'll tease us with this. You all will hear this, and then we will let other registered students know. We need to bump up registration and orientation a little bit this year, because we are going to have a kickoff concert on Sunday night that's going to just be phenomenal. So we're actually getting in. Who was it? Neil, you mentioned the concerts earlier.
Yeah.
We're getting an extra one this year. We're gonna straight up start off on Sunday night, and this particular artist will stay over, and they're gonna be part of some classes with us on Monday. So it's going to be really, really exciting. I wish I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you and tell God you died. And I'm not going to do that. So, but that news will be coming out as soon. Just a few I's dotted and T's that need crossed, and then I can start sharing that. But one thing I will let you guys know before we go, we are expanding our songwriting this year. Area that God's really been challenging me on. We've dedicated an hour class every day of the week, so 5 hours. Our songwriting is going to grow to 2, potentially 3 hours in the afternoons this year. and a lot of neat aspects and a lot of extra guests will be part of this. So it's really, really exciting. And that my dad believed every single student at the school should be a songwriter, because the best songs come from personal experiences, and we all have them, and nobody can tell our story like we can. So just super excited. All right, guys, again, love you. Appreciate your time. Thank you. And you all, I promise you, if you can make a decision, maybe through listening to this today, to attend CNS 24, I promise you, once you're there, you're going to find out that your decision to come to CNS 24 is going to make it your best day yet. You all be blessed. Thanks for listening to the Charles Novell School of Music podcast, The Best Day Yet. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter under the name the Charles Novell School of Music. And for more information on CNS and our upcoming events, like our online school, our weekend regional sessions, our creative coaching, and our pastor's retreat, you can visit us at our website at www.cnsmusic.com. As you've listened to this episode, we hope that you've gained some information that you can apply to your music and to your ministry to make today the best day yet.